Welcome to the Living Big podcast, where we're all about embracing life to the fullest. Hey, I'm Marley.
And I'm Kylie, and we're thrilled you're here. We explore how to pursue our passions, nurture meaningful connections, and inject some serious fun into our lives.
We're here to show you you're not alone.
And we want to do what we can to ease the stresses of everyday life and help you in your journey of living big.
Welcome back to another episode of Living Big. This episode is going to be such a fun one. We are diving into a topic that we love.
Yeah.
And if you're not a reader, you're about to become one.
Yeah. We will convert you in this episode.
Yes.
Yeah. We need to talk about, we'll get into it here in a second, but I'm like, we need to talk about our backstory and like how we got into reading. So,
yes,
anyway.
absolutely. But I hope that you can relate to this episode and that there are books you like. If there are, we want to hear all your recommendations. Yes. We're going to start a little mommy book club on the podcast.
Yeah.
So we absolutely want to hear what you're reading, what you're loving, what you're not loving, what you're disagreeing with. But reading really has brought us so much joy and fulfillment and even friendship.
I was just going to say, absolutely.
So I'm like,
yes.
Also, it's like let our minds escape into new worlds and be so creative and imaginative.
So good.
I feel like it's helped me with my vocabulary. Like there's so many things that reading has done for me.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's do an episode where we just talk about one of our passions, one of our hobbies.
Yeah.
One of the things that we love that has benefited us so much.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. At least for me, reading is essential for my brain. I just feel like my brain is always going a million miles an hour. And so to force my brain to just focus on the one thing and to just kind of build a little imaginary world for a second is so helpful. It just, I have to do it.
It's so decompressing for me too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can just let the day go and be an imaginary world. I love it so much.
Yes.
It's so fun.
I love that. So let's kind of get into some like backstory about how we ended up reading. We have similar, I don't know if we're all just completely unoriginal.
We're all the same.
We're all just living the same life. Crazy, right? How there was like a large group of girls that are now zillennials that grew up reading Hunger Games and Twilight. And I read like the Ugly series, which I think is becoming a movie or a series soon, something like that. Like in high school, I would say like anywhere from like kind of middle school to through high school that I was like, yeah, I'm a reader. I love reading. I hung out with a bunch of reader type of people. One of my best friends in high school, she's a writer, and she would read to me sections of her book that she was writing.
Ooh, so fun.
Pretty much every single day. And I got a physical copy of her book.
That's awesome.
I know. So that was how I got into reading. I'm pretty sure that's how you got into reading.
I've always loved reading. Well, actually that's not true. I was like a slow reader. It took me a long time before I could learn how to read.
Yeah.
I literally remember my grandpa sitting down with me reading the book called Why Johnny Can't Read.
Oh.
And it was just basically like vocabulary and like a how to read book.
Yeah.
Like a guide on how to learn how to read. And I remember my parents being like, oh, she's kind of behind in reading, you know? But after I got it, I was just like, okay, that's epic. Because I've always loved imagination. I was a kid who played imaginary games till way too old. I was like forcing my friends. I'm like, yeah, we're 12 and 14. So what? Like, you're the dad. I'm the mom.
Ours was Avatar, The Last Airbender. We'd be like, Fire Nation people.
Oh,
I did the same thing, yes.
But I was like, no, we have to keep playing.
Yeah.
You know? So I had a wild imagination, and I liked that reading was an escape for my imagination, and it built on my imagination. And so I literally would go on family vacations and stuff with a backpack full of like 15 books that I got from the library.
Oh, man.
It was so heavy, so bulky, so big, but you could not stop me. And then flash forward, read, loved it. Loved all the same books. Hunger Games, Twilight, all of them, you know, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, all the things.
Oh,
and
Harry
then
Potter.
We get to college and they make you read just the nastiest textbooks.
Yeah.
Some things were interesting, obviously.
I mean, I was reading like OG music theory books.
Yeah. Anything with science related, I was like,
yeah.
nope.
Terrible.
And even my history books, I love history, but it really doled history out for me because just the quantity of reading that you had to do. So reading became less fun and it became very much more about like learning. And so I stopped reading for fun, kind of fell out of love with it. And then when I got married to my husband, like he was reading a ton. He was reading Fablehaven at work in between. He would in between calls, he was at a call center. He would read like a paragraph of Fablehaven and then it would ring and he would start his next conversation. Wow. But I was like, oh my gosh, I loved reading. Yeah. And he's reading and that's fun. And so that kind of sparked the interest in me.
That's so fun.
And got me back into it. And also, this was another thing. I was desperately looking for adult girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure exactly like how to go about that when we first got married, because it was like my single friends still wanted to go do their thing and I needed some married friends, but like I didn't know where to find those. And it was just a weird period of life. Yeah. Everyone was busy with a lot of things and we were all in different places. And so I was like, oh man, what should I do? And my husband was super encouraging for me to like start doing some social things. And so he was like, you really wanted to get into reading, so why not hit two birds with one stone? You know, like grab a book, say, hey, this is the time and place. I'm going to like read it and then we're going to get together and talk about it. If no one comes, he's like, you still get together with yourself and talk about it.
Right.
After you're done, he's like, I'll talk about it with you, whatever it means, but invite some girls to come be a part of it. Marley was like my very first victim.
Victim.
Not victim, but you've been the OG since like the very beginning. And there were times where it was legit just you and I.
Yeah. There's been a few of those.
You know?
We've had some good fun times though in the book club though.
Super, super fun. But it was amazing. Like slowly as I kept with that commitment and just kept going, we now have like a booming book club.
Yeah.
With tons of amazing women. And people rotate in and out. I know life has seasons. We like to say that.
Yeah.
People rotate in and out. So cool. So great. But it's been amazing. Friends invite friends and I get to know new people and the community grows farther than I could have ever reached.
Right.
But it's been so fun, again, to have like a concrete subject too.
Yeah.
We pick a book, we all read it. We come together and instead of just gossiping, you know, which is, it has its place.
Yeah.
Not gossiping, but just like venting and chatting and being fun and spilling the tea. But instead of that, we also have these like really impactful, focused conversations that have deepened relationships in ways I don't think we could have had otherwise.
Totally. Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, we just had book club this week.
Yeah.
And it was in a cute, cozy little tent.
Oh, so fun.
It was so fun. Also, you're like kind of extra and I love it. So you have like fun events when you do them. It's not just
always.
Like a,
Sometimes it's just get together, sit in the house, like chat about the book.
We just go to Alicia's and get a cupcake. Yeah. But it's so fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is one of the highlights of my month every single month.
Yeah. I love book club.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now, at least for me.
Yep.
And beyond just book club, I read probably like 4 books every month.
Yeah.
On all the mediums.
Yeah.
Kindle, audio, physical. I love the smell of a bookstore. It's so romantic. Ugh.
Yeah. Which we're getting a Barnes & Noble, you were saying.
Yeah.
Here in
American Fork. I'm so excited.
Which is interesting because they like closed down the one in Sandy. And I was like, I guess they're just getting rid of Barnes & Noble. Now they're just moving it to us.
Yeah. I'm so excited because I used to go to Orem, which is not that far, but now this is dangerously close for me.
I was going to say, this is a problem now.
Yeah, you're going to have to keep me out. I just want to wander through and then I, come out with a stack of books every time.
Yeah.
And my husband and I, the problem is my husband and I don't keep each other in check because he loves to read too. And we both like our dream house has a massive library. Yeah. So I'm like, well, in order to have a massive library, you have to collect books.
Right.
So every time we go, I'm like, just 5 of them this time.
Just 5, but each one. Books are expensive.
Oh, they are.
It is a very expensive hobby.
Yeah.
But like Igor and I are the same way. We're not so much exactly with the physical copies, but we have no cap really on Audible.
Yeah.
It's bad where we're just like, yeah, sure, you want to get that book? Go for it. Like we just...
Other things you're like, well, let's talk about it. Books.
Nope. We just... Yeah, Igor's way into reading too. And it's so fun. Oh my gosh. I think not only is it fun, but I think it's so beneficial.
Yeah.
There are probably so many studies out there. Your girl's got to look up some studies and I'll share them on the Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just, I feel like it does so much for me like we were kind of saying in the beginning, it helps kind of ground us. It helps with our vocabulary. I feel like it has made me a better podcaster. I feel like it has made me just a better, even employee in work. It has improved my communication skills. I feel like I was pretty decent before, but like
even your thought process, like just everything.
Yeah, it's so good.
I love it so much.
Yes. Books are uniquely portable magic. There's a quote that I think you put in there.
Yeah, I did because I loved it.
Yeah, I love that.
That's from Stephen King, who is an author of, suspense and crime and scary stuff, fantasy.
Right.
But
Scary stuff.
I mean, it can be sometimes. Not always scary. Some of it's just like fantasy and super fun. But they are portable magic.
Yeah.
And we need magic in our lives.
Yeah. And I feel like if we as adults are reading, our kids are going to see that and they're going to be readers.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want my kids to be readers. I think reading in general is important. And hopefully like, my love for reading will rub off on them a little bit. I remember growing up, my dad was way into reading and he read the Harry Potter books way before I did. And he had the Harry Potter books.
Cute.
So that way, when I was finally old enough to want to read Harry Potter on my own, I was a little bit slower in the reading department as well. And so it wasn't until I was in high school that I was like, ooh, let me read Harry Potter. And then I hopped on that train and
stopping you after that.
No stopping that. So it was fun being able to like see my dad and how excited he was about Harry Potter and things as it was coming out. Like he would get the next book as it came out.
Are we accidentally becoming a book podcast right now?
Just for this episode, right? Well, occasional episodes.
Yeah, occasional episodes. We're going to go through what we're loving and hating or even disagreeing with.
Yeah. Do we have any that we disagree on? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so. We have pretty similar taste up to this point, I think. There hasn't been one where I've been like, it was amazing, and you were like, ew.
We'll talk about Agatar. I think the last one.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. But here is some of the books that we love right now.
Yeah.
So for me, I just read the first Anne of Green Gables. Well, I didn't just read it, but I just reread the first Anne of Green Gables book. If you haven't read this, oh my gosh. Literally bringing me out of the seasonal blues. It's so happy. It's so light. It's so joyful. The crazy thing is like, would I want to live in that time period? No, not really. But it's super fascinating to me. And the writer deserves a gold medal. It's so beautiful. The prose, everything.
I'm pretty sure it's like Pulitzer winning.
I know, but she deserves more than that.
Okay.
She deserves all the gold medals. It was like a laugh out loud, cry, feel genuine joy kind of book.
Love that.
I grew up watching the movies, that literally you had to like flip the discs to continue to watch when I was sick, and absolutely loved them. But Anne is such a fun, spunky, witty character for me, and she's just so full of love, and I love what she does for the people of Anne of Green Gables, how she opens their minds and lets them feel like just immense amount of love, like Marilla and Matthew. I just think it's so beautiful. So if you have not read of Anne of Green Gables, highly recommend. I have also a physical copy that's leather bound, yellow with like flowers on it.
Cute.
I'm like, this is going to be a once a year read for me every winter, at least the first one, because it genuinely was so happy and light. I loved it.
I love that. Yeah. I started listening to it. It's included on Audible
for free.
Go put it into your library because it's so cute. I'm really glad that people have received it so well, because I wonder if it could just be like really annoying to some people to be like, wow, this girl is like super extra. But just the idea of like the really tough life that this little girl has had, that no one has wanted her. She's been treated so poorly, but she's able to see things so beautifully and describe them in detail, and just she's got such an amazing imagination. I'm like, I just want to be like Anne.
No, I literally love that she starts like a writing club, and she's like, imagination can be cultivated. She tells all of her friends. I'm like, that I truly believe that.
I love that.
It's such an important lesson.
It's like a healing lesson. I grew up the very opposite. It was like you had whatever you were born with, and that's it. So I agree. I think the opposite is true. I think that imagination totally can be cultivated.
Yeah.
So
imagine living in a world without Octobers too. It's like Anne of Green Gables, The Lake of Shining Waters, the most romantical book in the world.
Romantical is the only way to describe that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So cute, so sweet.
What are some of the books you're loving lately?
Let's see. I put on my list. Okay, so I'm going to start with probably the biggest one on the list, The Nightingale. Okay. I know that everyone has hyped this book up, but it lives up to the hype. It is
For good reason.
so good. Oh my gosh. I love anything that has to do with World War II, has to do with the Holocaust, things like that. I'm so fascinated by that time period because I lived with my great-grandfather who was a prisoner of war at that time in Germany. So like having had like a physical lifeline to that time period, it's so fascinating to just like consume things about that time. And so The Nightingale, like changed my life. Oh my gosh. I think it's a book that everyone needs to read to be able to understand, maybe not even fully understand, but to just see really hard perspectives and how people can become who they are because of those experiences that they've had. This book, it's historical fiction, so it's based on women in France, in Nazi occupied France, and the things that they go through. But I am absolutely certain that some of the experiences that Kristen Hanna wrote about actually happened and that people had to go through, they had to experience these things. And I can't even imagine, like, it just makes me so humble and grateful for my own life and the things that I have gone through that will never be at that level. Oh, so The Nightingale. Put it on your list, everyone. I made my husband read it right after me because I was like, I need someone to be able to process this with. And so then he binged it really fast on Audible, but I wept. I'm not like a weeper type of person.
Yeah.
I'm a cry-ish-er person. I'm not a crazy crier, but this book made me weep. Absolutely weep. Oh, it's so good. Everyone's got to read it. Loved it.
I love it too, but I haven't finished it yet for the reason of the weeping.
Yeah. Once you get
too
to
pregnant.
the end, you weep.
I'm too pregnant. I'm like, okay, I just read that for 20 minutes and it was beautiful, but sad, but beautiful.
I just didn't know I could fall in love so hard.
Yeah.
With some characters. They're not even real.
Yeah.
But I just think of myself in those situations or
Yeah.
people I know in those situations, or think of people that have actually physically experienced that. And I'm
I
like,
know.
it just opens
crazy.
your mind. So good.
I love it. Okay, another one that I love that's kind of in the same genre, historical fiction and a tearjerker, but beautiful and important, that everyone should read, that we read for book club. So both Marley and I read it, but I just loved it. It was probably my top book of last year, was 1,000 Splendid Suns, and it was super important for me to understand. I didn't know nearly as much about Afghanistan and the things that, happened over there, specifically for women.
Right.
I never have really heard that perspective before, but I thought it was heartbreakingly beautiful and redemptive. And the story of sisterhood and womanhood that was told amidst incredibly difficult circumstances was life-changing for me. And it is something that I frequently come back to and think about the lessons that I learned. And I think it's important for everyone to have a bit of that history. The man who wrote it.
Yes. I was just going to say the man.
He was able to dive into the emotions of women. And it's hard for us to understand either side, right? Of our sexes, of women and men. But oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. So you could just imagine and be and participate in all of it.
Major content warning.
Yeah.
Major content warning.
Yeah.
It's really dark.
Rough.
In places. There's parts of it that are very, very intense and are not for younger
it's not for children.
readers. No.
No.
But agreed. Everyone needs to read it.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
At some
And
point.
it gave me so much respect for the people of Afghanistan and the things that they have endured and the history that, I need to know more about.
I know. I didn't realize, with that book specifically, I didn't realize the freedoms that women had, even in Muslim culture and in religion. I didn't realize the freedoms they had
That were
before
revoked.
the Taliban came in.
Yes.
Did not know. Had no idea. So being able to see how devastating that was for doctors, women
To just get
who
revoked.
Get revoked. Like they had to be in full burqa while performing surgeries.
Yeah. And half the time women weren't even able to go to the hospital when they needed medical help to bear children or anything, you know? So it is really intense. It's not a light book.
No.
But the thing that I loved about this specific book compared to some other books that he has written is that there was joy and redemption more than I feel like in some of his other books, like To Kill a Mockingbird, for example. Oh, wait.
No. Kite Runner.
Kite Runner. Thank you. Like Kite Runner. That one to me was just really sad.
Yeah. He did not have a happy ending.
This one at the end, like despite great hardship, there was so much joy and beauty in it. And so I really loved that aspect of this book as well. It was really eye-opening.
Masterpiece. Everyone has to read it.
So good.
Yep.
It's like the Bible. Everyone should read it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Agreed. That light.
Yeah.
You good?
You might turn off.
Okay. Okay. I love memoirs.
Yeah, I do too.
I love like reading people's stories, their histories. I love specifically like celebrity ones. Those are just so interesting to me. This is not a celebrity one.
Yeah.
This is Educated by Tara Westover.
So good.
Oof. I've heard multiple people talk about this book and how they just have to keep reminding themselves the entire time that this is a memoir. It's not historical fiction. It's not fiction in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
This happened to a real person. That there's this young woman who grows up in really kind of extreme circumstances, kind of crazy even. She doesn't graduate high school.
Yeah.
I don't even think she had a GED or anything, but she just like wiggled her way into college.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she has her PhD now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's Dr. Tara Westover with no high school diploma. Insane. Such a good memoir. I also think everyone needs to read this book.
Yeah.
So good.
Crazy to go from her circumstances to where she's at now.
Yeah.
And super enlightening. Also, it taught me a lot about myself and things that I want for my children and how important education is just in general.
Yes. Her parents were very anti-government and extremists kind of a thing. Culty, I would
You can
say.
learn everything you need to from home.
Right.
But we control what
And we also
that information is.
Don't believe in modern medicine. We believe in, and not to knock anything with, you know, kind of more holistic traditional approaches, but they were just like anti-doctor. It was a no-go.
For some really serious things that happened to family members.
Oh, yeah.
Scary.
So scary. Anywho.
It's amazing that they're all alive.
I mean, they're alive. That's about it, though.
Yeah.
Some of them never recovered from some really bad stuff. So, anywho, highly recommend. It was just really fascinating to me. I think just like as we're talking, I'm like some of our favorite things, some of our favorite books that we've read have really expanded the way we think about the world.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's why it's important to read, is to be able to tap into your emotions, tap into deeper thinking, and to get out of your own little world. You know, I get sucked into my own little world and get kind of stuck sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I think
Expanding the horizons.
exactly.
There are also some super fun books that are just lighthearted, that are fun to read for fun.
Right.
To just like have an enjoyable time.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that I love in that genre is Finley Donovan is Killing It.
Oh, that was so fun.
I thought it was so fun. Kind of super cozy mystery. Single mom and nanny team up and they become like
Hitmen.
hitmen.
Accidentally.
Accidentally, but kind of they didn't become him. Anyway, it's
Right.
so good. It's
I need
so
to read the
funny.
second one. Oh.
I've never laughed out loud at a murder mystery before. It was so funny, so relatable as a mom. Just like so like things that don't happen kept happening in this book,
Right.
but in the right way. That literally, I told my husband, I'm like, it gets crazier and crazier, and I had to keep telling him all the story. I was like, and now this has happened, and like they're in this really sticky situation. It was so fun. So if you're looking for a cozy mystery,
Yeah.
highly recommend Finley Donovan. The whole series has been really good. The third book was not my absolute favorite, but I'm really excited for the fourth one to come out. And
Ooh, is she gonna release the fourth one?
yeah,
Ooh, so exciting.
it's like in the pre
Okay.
whatever that is. So
Awesome.
I'm really, really excited, but that's just fun.
Yeah. I had read, we had read Nicholas Sparks for book club, and everyone was like, you got to read a different one because this one wasn't his best one.
No, it didn't stand up to like the classic Nicholas Sparks.
Right. So I read The Last Song because that movie, that like,
My teenage self.
yeah, that was
My dream.
a part of my like essence as a kid. And like I just was in love with Miley Cyrus and their whole relationship with her and Liam Hemsworth. Oh, so good. Also, I'm way into music, and so for her to be like a Juilliard
Right.
person or whatever, just like the whole thing, she played piano. It was amazing. It just like
You're like, I feel this.
I was like, yes, this is me. I was so dramatic. Anyway, so I loved the movie. I totally made my husband watch it with me recently because I had to read the book, and I loved The Last Song. Oh my gosh, the book was so fun, so cute. I thought it was really well written. And I felt like it was very appropriate actually for like high school Marley. I feel like I totally should have read it as a kid and it would have been fun just because it was really cute and really fun. And I loved all the different characters. I liked the way that it was written as well because it was from each different character's perspective. So that was kind of cool. And it just expanded on the story.
I literally can't believe that you had never read a Nicholas Sparks till you were in your 20s. Like, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Till last year.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, but
I was like a sappy, like, he just released a new one. Like, I have to have it right now. Kind of. That's so crazy to me.
yeah, no,
It was one that my mom would read and I would read, you know? So
Yeah.
I was like, this is so cool.
that's so cute. Yeah, no, I loved
that.
it. So now I've got to read more Nicholas Sparks books because that one was so good.
Any other mentionables on the what you're loving right now before we get into what we're hating?
So I read all of ACOTAR and I thought that was really good. A Court of Thorns and Roses series by SJM Sarah J. Maas. Maas. I've heard it both ways. I don't know. Anywho, and that has just been a ride. It's been so fun. I have totally been feeling the FOMO. All the books that I like recommended and whatnot and said, they were all 5 stars. These are my 5 stars on Goodreads.
Yeah.
5-star means that everyone's got to read it. Well, maybe Last Song wasn't 5-star. I don't know. That's fine.
It was just a fun one.
It was a fun one. But most of the ones that I recommend are usually 5 stars, meaning like people need to read this. Anyone. ACOTAR is just fun, and I was feeling FOMO because everyone else was reading it, and then I also
Romantasy.
and then I read Fourth Wing in there as well because the second one came out, and I was like, I have to read this. You know, I was just feeling like, I just gotta read it because everyone else is reading it. I'm not mad about the FOMO that I was feeling though.
Oh my gosh.
They were really fun. They definitely are not my normal genre, but it was so fun to just like get
Dip your
into the
toes
world of fantasy. It was way fun. Yeah.
My husband says that they're not real fantasy. So he's like, I like when people call them romantasy. Because
Yeah.
he's like, it's like dipping your toes into fantasy, but it's not like quite fully fantasy.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's an avid Brandon Sanderson reader. And that's like,
He's like the king of
world
fantasy.
building and like
Yeah.
all the crazy things and everything like that. But I also did think that they were super fun. I had a really fun time reading them as well. But yeah, the last one, I actually did like it.
Okay.
It just took me a lot longer to get into the last book because of the character that it was about.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more, you know, crazy in there. And so that was a little much sometimes.
Crazy and spicy.
Yeah. That was a little much sometimes. But I loved the ending, and it brought me a lot of joy to see like the character arc and the transformation and the things that were able to happen for her. But for the whole first little bit, I told you this, but I was like, I just imagine, you know, please don't hate me, anyone who's read these. But for me, it was like Cinderella and the 2 stepsisters. And the one from like the original animated movie.
Yeah.
Disney movie where they're not the cutest and like they can't fit their feet in and they're like they have like boils and things like that. Like they're just like,
Anastasia and Drizella.
yeah, just very interesting. And in my mind, that's how I had imagined this character as being one of the stepsisters. So her like being the main character and like going through things and even the romance and stuff, I was like, I just can't picture this because like she's the ugly stepsister.
Oh my gosh.
So it was really hard for me to fully jump into her character, into her mind. But it was the only book that I cried in from the series.
Ooh.
So there is that.
Yeah. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of loved it by the end. I started Crescent City, and that one's way more fantasy
Yeah.
than I'm realizing because there's a lot of world building going on.
I've heard it's very hard to understand, but I'm excited to get there. I'm going Throne of Glass direction right now. I'm loving the first book.
I've
Super
heard they're
fun.
so good.
Yeah. It's giving like Princess Kingdom vibes.
I'm so
all
excited.
about it.
I'm like, let me get through Crescent City really fast so that I can dedicate the rest of my life.
You have to get into the whole Sarah J. Maas universe.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
all right. Books we are not loving. Can we just say we straight up hated them?
Yeah, we can say that.
There's definitely some.
Oh man, you put one on here that I forgot we even read because it was so not good that I didn't even remember it.
No, there's 2 on there. There's 3 on there that we read that you probably forgot about.
I mean, I didn't forget about Flicker in the Dark because it made me mad enough.
Okay.
I hated the ending. I thought that was terrible.
Flicker in the Dark, terrible.
Thriller.
Everything up until the very end was great.
Supposedly people love it. It had really good reviews on
I think it's supposed
Goodreads.
to become a movie.
It just really rubbed me wrong. Like throughout the whole thing, I think it could have been so much more epic. I don't want to spoil anything.
I know we can't really talk about why we didn't like it, or else that would give away the ending. And
But
if you want to read it,
what I will say is like there were alternatives that would have been a way better story and way better ending to the thriller, right? Because you're expecting to get like surprised, and yes, you're like kind of trying to guess throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
But my idea was the best.
Right.
I'm right.
So if it becomes a movie, it's got to be rewritten. The end of it is just not acceptable.
I'm like, it just would have been way more epic if the person who the whole thriller came down to be, doing the things that they were doing was who I thought it should have been.
Yeah.
So didn't love it. There was some weird parent stuff in there and that just made me mad.
So I'm curious. We haven't really talked about It Ends With Us.
Yeah.
So why didn't you like it? I'm curious.
So I bought both It Ends With Us and It Begins With Us because everyone raved and raved and raved about Colleen Hoover. She's been like huge on Book Talk, Bookstagram, all that stuff. And a lot of my friends read it and loved it. And it was just kind of icky. Just gave me the ick.
Oh, interesting.
And it was about, it's about a relationship. And the good thing there is it's supposed to show that getting out of an abusive relationship, like you end that with you and you begin something beautiful.
Yeah.
I get that. That's cool. It didn't feel like it was written very well.
Oh,
and it made me feel icky.
It's just icky. Well, it's interesting you say that because on my hate list as well, I also have a Coho book.
Yeah.
I could not get through Verity. Okay, this is like supposed to be one of her best novels.
Yeah. And it is so weird because that's like a polarizing opinion.
Yeah. Like a lower than a 1 star if I could do that, like if that was possible. Oh my gosh, I just did not like it.
See, mine wasn't as bad as that, but I didn't read Verity because of what you said, because I was like, ooh, gross.
I will say it wasn't even just that it was like icky. There was an aversion to it. Like I started reading it and I thought the premise was interesting. I thought that the story as it kind of went along was interesting. And then it got to a certain point where I was like, I'm not okay with this. I don't like this. It felt icky in so many ways. If you like the book, please let me know why. Like, I would love to know why you like Verity. Please, you don't have to convince me because I'm not going to finish it. So if you want to spoil things for me, fine. I don't care. But I would be so interested to see why people actually like it.
I just want to know why people like Colleen Hoover's books.
I know that she writes about kind of tough stuff, but
I'm not great though.
Are
People
they-
write about tough stuff, and I like that.
that's true. Good point. Good point. From what I've seen from other like mental health experts, they don't like the books either because from a mental health perspective, a lot of times,
like rewarding
I don't know.
these like I don't know.
Yeah, like glorifying,
Yeah.
glamorizing, dramatizing these kinds of situations that should not be.
Yeah.
They should really be looked at and be like, this is not okay. Because that was the vibe I got when I was reading Verity. It was like, why
Is
did
she the hero or is she the freaking villain?
she's absolutely the villain. Like, why? What?
Yeah,
Anywho,
no.
it was just so unnerving to me to read this book. I hated it. Didn't finish it. Returned it to Audible. So,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hers.
Yeah.
And we read some other ones for book club. Both of these, Sunday Lunch Club. Didn't even remember we read that because it was
I don't even remember what the book is about.
a Sunday Lunch Club. Some friends
Like,
that
what
get together
happened?
for lunch on Sundays. Nothing happened. Spoiler alert, nothing happened ever. They just
They
talked
had like family
sometimes.
drama they would talk about, and that was about it.
But it was like lame.
Yeah, it was kind of
Drama. Like spill the tea if you're
Yeah.
gonna. I don't know. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
The hating game. Also,
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
we were like, oh, let's read a fun romance.
Yeah.
Eh.
I was just thinking of an alternative to the Sunday Lunch Club is Happy Place.
Yeah.
Kind of similar vibes where it's like
Friends that get together.
Friends get together and they spill the tea, but there's real tea and it's really good tea.
Yeah.
Happy Place was really fun.
Happy Place
Emily
was
Henry,
really fun.
She's great.
Yeah.
I love her.
I'm kind of at like a middle ground with Emily Henry.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like romance books go, I like read them and I enjoy them, but even some of them I can't finish because I'm just like, ooh, the main characters are like, yee. I don't know.
Did you finish Beach Read?
No.
Oh, okay. I've heard that one's really good. So.
Wait, I think I read Beach Read. It was a different one that I wasn't able to finish.
Okay.
Anyway, I've read a few of her books.
Yeah.
And
I
my
think-
favorite one was Happy Place.
Was that our first book club book? Was
People We Meet on Vacation.
yeah.
Not our first book club book.
What was
but,
the first one?
I
I can't even remember.
too long ago.
That was so long ago.
I don't know. I know. Think Like a Monk. Oh, it was Halloween. Was our first book club book. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder.
Oh,
Whew.
that's what it was. That one was good too.
That one's really good.
Yeah, that was cute.
And I love that series as well.
Yeah.
Read the series and that was fun.
Okay.
Another one I didn't love was Between Sisters
Yeah.
by Kristen Hanna.
Another ick.
Just kind of icky.
Yeah.
Kristen Hanna's amazing. I love a lot of her stuff.
I just told you about The Nightingale. Same author.
Yeah.
It does not even feel like the same author though.
No, I literally looked up multiple times. I was like, is this a different Kristen Hanna? Like, this must be the same name, but a different person who
Yeah.
wrote this.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I found out that she wrote it a lot before she wrote her other books. So
and it's a completely different genre.
yeah,
too.
the cool thing that I did learn is that like you progress and grow, and maybe your beginning content or your beginning whatevers are not super notable, mentionable, incredible, but you start somewhere, because if she hadn't written that, she would never have been able to get to the point where she's at today, in my opinion.
Right.
So that's what I will give her for that.
Yeah.
But it's not one I would bring up and like recommend again.
No.
There are so many that I would. So do look at Kristen Hanna because she's awesome.
Well, and she just released a book this past week even. That's supposed to be amazing called
Yeah.
The Women. So
I'm very excited to read
definitely on my TBR.
it. As are 150 other books.
Right. TBR, if you're not aware, just means to be read.
Yeah.
It's an ever-growing list. Because I don't know if we'll ever be able to read as fast as we're adding things.
No. That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all for hates.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anywho, it's been so fun to talk about our book loves and hates. We would love your recommendations. Let's help add to our crazy ever-growing list TBR. We're never going to finish, but it's just fun. It's just fun to add to it, to get people's recommendations and things like that. Please steer us clear of books you're not loving as well, okay? Friends help friends.
Yeah.
I feel like.
And if you have a hot take that we were wrong on something,
yes,
we want to hear your opinion. We want to hear why you liked something or didn't like something that we liked.
Yes, love to. If you're like, actually, Harry Potter sucks, please let us know.
If you didn't like Twilight, don't talk to me. I was married to Edward in my head when I was.
Yeah. I mean, like, aren't we still obsessed with them?
Yeah.
I'm still obsessed with them.
Are the movies horrible? Absolutely. Did me and my husband do an entire marathon in 2 days of them? Yeah, because they're hilarious. So
yes,
we love that. But we want to share the love of reading with all of you.
Yeah.
So please engage with us. Tell us what you're liking, what you're not liking. And hopefully you have a wonderful week full of the best books.
yes.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Living Big podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Join us on Instagram and TikTok for all the things, from relatable mom memes to fun girls' night ideas with your besties.
See you next week.